You're listening to The Kelly Slusher Show with your host, Kelly Slusher. Good morning. Hello, everybody. Wow. So I recorded an episode, last week, and I didn't put it out. I've got to release it by next week. But sometimes I get in these moods where I just get so busy that I record it, and then all the information to me is old. So I'm I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do a new one. And okay, so I did this thing where I stubbed my toe the other day, and I've got this cute little love seat. I love it. I feel like no one else likes my little love seat. It seems like people are like, why do you have that? Because it's cute. It's very retro. Okay. It's it looks like it's from the 60s. I can pick it up myself. It's really good for playing my guitar on because it's wide enough, but it's also small. And it fits me, okay? But it has these legs that stick out, these thin little retro style legs that they used to you would see these peg leg kind of things, but it's cute. It's like they make the TV stands with those little retro legs on it. And I was going really fast, and I had taken my shoes off, which I know I shouldn't do. I always tell myself wear slippers in the house at least because, clumsy. So I'm walking, and then just boom, I just nailed one of my toes. And now I have to wear a little boot to walk around. It's getting better. I think I just kind of sprained and bruised it, but oh my gosh, it's 2 years ago I did the same thing, but except for I broke my baby toe. And then this other thing fell on my other baby toe at the same time. So I had two broken, I think I just kind of bruised the other baby toe. So I had to wear two boots on my, those little, anyway, so now I'm limping, and I needed to go to the, I needed to pick up some coffee, and I didn't want to go to anyway, it was on my way home yesterday, and so I go to CVS, and I go, they might have coffee, because there was a bank right there, and when you're in these situations, we take walking for granted, and I was like, well, I don't want to go to some, okay, so I'm going to go there to see if sometimes they've got coffee. I mean, it might not be the best, but at least it'll be coffee. So, I, for the morning, because I had run out. So I'm limping in there. It's just hi, I'm that person. Limp. Got my little medical boot on, and don't want to I was walk. I shouldn't be walking this far. And then there's this guy. He was doing something, looking at something on the shelf, but I thought he was a worker, and I was excuse me, and he was just horrified. Who is this beast asking me? Excuse me, sir. Oh, you don't work here. And I'm just limping around. He's I don't work here. I'm well, you look like you were stocking the shelves. So, and then I finally find it, but it's oh my gosh, it's so, to be that person, it's really humbling too. I'm hi, I'm that person. I want to be limping around. Don't mind me. Anyway, it happens, right? It happens to people. Okay, so I have a story. There's these people that I'm friends with, and their neighbor is this 80, she's 86, and her boyfriend's 90 something. And I know I've talked about this guy. His name's Jack. It's amazing. He is the most fit 90-year-old, and he is he goes on trips, he goes to the gym, he's just it's not like he's one of these no, he's cocky about it too, and he's just I'm Jack. And he's fit, and he's 90 something, and it's he's not letting the limitation of age at all. He's not listening to anybody. He went to the doctor, had some weird surgery, and they're don't go to the gym. Next day he's I'm going to the gym, and they're should you really go? And he's I'm going. So the other day he was walking, he had on this jacket, and it was a fringe jacket. So I'm imagining this fringe. I don't know if it was leather or if it I'm pretty sure it was a leather fringe jacket. And he's walking in the neighborhood, and some guy in his Tesla car was going too fast, and Jack yells out, hey, slow down. And the guy stops his Tesla car, moves, and he gets out, and he's he's like a younger dude, and he's like confronting Jack like he's gonna like beat him up, and Jack's just like doesn't step down. And so I'm imagining this 90-year-old man with his like fringe jacket just being like, oh yeah, you're gonna beat it. And he did say, he's like, you're gonna fight a 90-year-old is what you're gonna do. I don't think the guy like actually stopped to like realize, no, he's 90. Don't fight him, dude. And guess what? You'll go, you know what I mean? That's like elder abuse. I mean, there's so many reasons why you don't do that. Let the guy tell you to sleep. You're probably going too fast. I mean, it's a little neighborhood, and, people do walk out on the street and stuff. And so you really don't, and it's like the streets are kind of small. Yeah, you don't want to go fast. So I thought that was so funny, imagining Jack in his fringe jacket, and he's like 90 something. And it's like, what, you gonna, you want to fight? You want to fight a 90-year-old? And so then like the 86-year-old, like his girlfriend had to come out of the house and like break it up. She's like, okay, guys. Okay, whoever you are, Tesla guy driving your car, wanting to fight a 90-year-old, please get into reality. Whoever you are, like get over yourself for just 1 second. I have to check myself too sometimes. So now that I live in the smaller town, I have to take roads where it's just 2 lanes sometimes. And I get behind drivers that are like, I've talked about this like way in the earlier episodes of, because I was in the similar situation. You have more retired people up here, so they're not in a hurry. I have to like, because I have my own little apartment, and there's not a dryer. There is access to one, but I kind of have to prove myself to this landlord that I'm not going to because it's in her house. So after a while, she'll probably let me use it. So I have to suck it up, go to the laundromat. I don't mind going to the laundromat. It's kind of interesting, but I think the things that I don't like about the laundromat are the other people when they're like kind of like, I went into the one, I had to go, and this is right the day that I had hurt my toe. I had all this like bedding, and I was like, I got to do this. This is going to really be lame, but I want to get that duvet. I want to get all these things cleaned, so I can put them away and have them clean and not even think about it. So then I go, and there's this like guy in there, and he's just, he sketch bombs, man. And I knew it, but it was like the early time. Like, I'm like, if I go early, I want to do it. So it's just me and this really sketchy guy. So, anyway, so there's people like that. Eventually, like the worker came in and kicked him out. But there's like that, the lamest part about doing laundry is because sometimes some of the people are just like, you're just like, ooh, I don't really want to be in the same building as you, but I have to do my laundry. So there was a Rayleigh's next door, so I was like, okay, I know they have a little Pete's coffee shop in there, so I'm gonna go in there and get a cup of coffee. And it's like all older people, like gray hair people, and the line is long, and it's all these old people. And my first thought was like, oh, you guys have all the time in the day. I'm a busy working woman. I'm thinking all entitled, I should be able to cut. And then I like caught myself thinking that way, and I'm like, you know what? The elderly are the ones who are like, they're like the discarded people of society. Like no one cares about you if you're older, like barely. So I started like really thinking about like how I was behaving towards them. And I'm really going to change that because it's lame. I have a dad who is 82 and he's going through, watching this. It's so crazy. Like when you see your parents going through stuff like this, like you hear about it, but it changes you as a person because you better because you can't, it's like your compassion and like your understanding of reality and like watching someone who was once young just, and getting to that point where, seeing my dad kind of fall apart, and now my dad's bedridden and like all these things that I shouldn't be talking about on my podcast, but all this stuff is like so real. And it's, so anyway, but yeah, the line was really long, and I'm like, I got that attitude, and it's just like that same guy with his Tesla, like, oh, I can drive fast, whatever, old man. And it's like, but Jack's friend's jacket. And, okay. So from my previous podcast, I am so bad because I didn't play it. I'm not releasing it. I'm so bad like that. I'm so sorry that if you guys are listeners that I do that. I'm a moody person, and not in a way where like, I'm not like mood swings. I used to be, but I'm pretty even kill kind of person. Not to say that I don't, but I do have sometimes it's mood related. So sometimes I don't want to do things because I want to, it's just not. But anyway, so I got this call.
Kelly, I'm looking for Ralph. Do you know where he's at? Can you call me? 530-782-65.
What was that? Let's play it again. Who is this?
Kelly, I'm looking for Ralph.
Who's Ralph?
Do you know where he's at? Can you call me? 530-782-65.
Is that a man? Is it a woman? Who's Ralph? Who's Ralph? Who called me? They know my name. Who's this person? And it's like from Reading. So I don't know. Is this a prank? Is this someone that's a listener? Maybe you got my number and you thought it'd be funny. A friend of mine said, "Oh, that sounds like AI," but I don't think it sounds like AI. But maybe AI is doing that now. So you like call them back and you're like, "Hey, I just want you to know that there's no Ralph." And they're like, "Oh, would you like to sign up for this Comcast package?" There's this. He's actually, I think he blew up in comedy, but his name's Tony Baker and he's on Instagram, and he's the guy that does like a lot of the animal voices, and he's just so spot on. And there's just like one, and I'm trying to find it. He redid it with a different animal, but there was this one where it was like a snake, and it was like the snake, and he was like talking about like, "Excuse me, who's your cable provider?" And it was like a snake, and it was really funny. "Who's your cable provider?" And then the snake like slithers off. It's really funny. You're not supposed to say, not supposed to say, it makes you sound unprofessional. I'm professional. I don't care. I talk the way I talk. Back to the Ralph phone message. It made me think about a time. The first thing that came to my head was, oh, it's a woman with a deeper voice who is looking for a husband or boyfriend, and some reason she thinks that he's with me. And the reason why I thought that, which of course is ridiculous because I don't know this person, they didn't identify who they were. But so there was this time, it was a couple years ago, I was eating at this place, and it was like this place where it had like tables, and you know, it was like you order at the counter, and there was a bunch of tables, but they were all filled up, and I was sitting in like one that had 3 empty chairs, and this fella was like walking around looking for a place to sit, and I was sitting on one end, and I said, "You can sit over here." You know, I was just being nice, and he was there, and so we kind of start talking. And I thought he was kind of cute, but I wasn't like way over the top thinking he was that rad, but I was like, whatever, you know, talking to him. But we had a good conversation, and he asked me to hang out. And so I was like, okay. So I gave him my contact, and he contacted me, and he's like, hey, want to go meet up. So we went to a little brewery. I can't say that word right. Went to a brewery. And that, you know, it was like a meetup. There wasn't like some fancy date, which I think breweries and coffee shops are the way to meet people these days, instead of like going to some, you know, the older days where you had to like go to a fancy restaurant. Just go meet up and just get like a beer and see if you even like this person. Anyway, so I meet with them, and the whole time he's showing me his criminal record on his phone. Like he was like, he looked it up, and it's like, yeah, check me out. Yeah, if you look me up, because you can search people. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's him. He served time. He's in prison. You know, he was in there for years. Like I want to say like 20 years. And so I was like, oh, okay, this dude, you know, and he was kind of proud of himself. Like he got in when he was like 18 or something, like really young in life. And then he tells me why, and he was just, the whole time was about that. I mean, the kind of red flag number one with a guy, anybody who just talks about themselves the whole time, and I didn't really care because I wasn't that into this person, and I really probably wasn't planning on seeing him again, but I was like, okay. So, red flag number one should be he was in prison. Red flag number two, he was just talk. Sometimes guys will talk a lot about themselves, but that's kind of because I don't know, I know there's that whole thing where they like to prove themselves, but anyway, so anyway, so it was kind of weird. Like, I wasn't going to go home with them. I wasn't going to, I didn't even care to make another date. I was just like, okay, cool. Nice to meet you, and he walked me to my car and I didn't kiss him. It was just like, I was not even, it was barely there for me. And he was being weird. Let's put it that way. I could tell he was being a little bit sketchy about something. He's like, oh, I'd like to, oh, that's what it was. He kept making these excuses like, oh yeah, he was trying to meet up with me. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, my mom's in town this weekend. Oh, I have to wait till Wednesday or something. So it was something like that. And I thought, for one, red flag number 1 was that, you're like, what? Your mom's in town? Okay, that's weird. Not that it's weird, but anyway. And then when I walked him, he's like, I think I walked him to his car. My car was near his. I was like, okay, bye. And he's like, oh yeah, I want to see you again. But, and he was being kind of weird about when. And I'm like, okay, it's okay, dude. Just whatever, call me or text me or whatever. So I leave and I'm like, okay, that was weird. I didn't really think much of it. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, dude, or that went to prison. Where are you? And, call me. I kind of blew it off. And then the next day or two, I get a message on Messenger from this woman, and she goes, were you on a date with my boyfriend? Red flag number 5. I was like, oh my gosh. That's why he was being weird. He has a freaking girlfriend. Oh my gosh, what? Are you kidding me? He just couldn't resist me. When I was sitting in that little restaurant, he was eating his... he's eating his meze. And he's like, oh, I've got to go on a date with this chick. Even though I got a girlfriend. You're so lame. So I was like, I actually responded well, I didn't know. Yes, I went out on I was really, because I've had something similar happen in a way, and it's very painful. You don't want to go through that. So I said, yeah, actually, I did. I didn't know that he had a girlfriend, and I would not have gone out with him. And then I said, and just so you know, nothing happened. Just so it was we just met up for beer or something. And then I noticed he had blocked me on his Facebook. But it's I don't know, cheaters, prison people, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so then my first thought was, oh no, some lady thinks I'm out with her dude. That was lame. That's when you think back about lame dates, that was probably one of the lamest ones. Oh, I should do an episode of lame dates. Oh my gosh, I should so do an episode. I'm gonna do that. I should. That would be funny. Okay, I'm gonna think that over, because it would be, because I have so many stories and I don't think I've gone down that route. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, who's Ralph? Why did this person call me? I did not call them back, and that is because I don't want to open up that door. But if it's someone that knows me, you're brilliant, and if I don't, then okay, here's another thing. What's up with the pillow trend? The pillows, why? And it's, I always get really confused about this. So, especially in the 80s, this was a real big thing where the women would decorate the houses, and then the men had to live in these houses, and they the fluffy curtains, the fluffy couches, the fluffy curtains and the floral fluff. And men had to live in this. And it's so weird. And women are nope, this is how we're living. And it's well, what if the guy doesn't want to live that way? Oh, you get the man cave, so you have to go live in the den. So, and that still lives on, but I'm not married. But if I were, I would, and I have been, I'm not that kind of person. I'm oh, we should this house needs to be something you want to live in, and something and you want to look at, and something me as well. Fortunately, though, I'm not super, super, super girly like that. I'm feminine, I'm girly, but when it comes to aesthetics and stuff, I am, but I'm not the puffy stuff, the puff curtains, which is not a trend now. Or segue into the pillow trend. There are women who like so many pillows on their bed that the pillows extend to half of the bed. like, okay, so you gotta have like the 2 main pillows, and upon that you need to put the duvet pillows on that, and then with those pillows you need to take 2 huge decorative pillows, and then you need 1 long pillow, and then we need to stick like a couple little pillows, and then like another one, and then just a few more little ones, and it's like by the time they're done, it's in the middle of the bed. And I'm kind of exaggerating, but kind of not. But maybe the trend has gotten a little bit better, because at night, if you make your bed every single day, you have to take like 50 pillows off your bed. I don't understand it. It's impractical. A few pillows are cute, but 50? Half the bed? Why don't you just take the whole bed and make it one big pillow? Like just, I love this decoration of the pillow all the way to the end of the bed. So that seems like something that, like, if a husband was married to a wife like that they'd be like, why am I living like this? It's like a woman, they always take over like the house decorations and stuff. I guess because we're nesty and we'd like to decorate and stuff. And I've gone into guys' houses and it's like, you need a woman in your life. Definitely seen that, but maybe not to the extreme. And I was talking to a friend, and she said she loves to rescue dogs, and she has this dog. She had a dog that had, like, I'm gonna say that she loves not golden retrievers, but she loves those really sweet German shepherds. So she always rescues these German shepherds. And I guess, like, somehow the ears of the German shepherd got clipped weird. I don't know. The dog had weird ears. So she put this little hat on the dog, and it was like this little, like a little teeny, like a top hat type of thing. And one time she put the on the dog, and, because, like, dogs, people love to dress their dogs up. And anyway, she puts the top hat on the dog, and she said the dog loved it so much that the dog would just, like, she'd put the top hat on, the dog would, like, stare at itself in the mirror, like the little sly eye, like, I'm loving this. And she said the dog would always wear its top hat. I thought that was so funny. And all of her dogs are, like, the sweetest dogs nobody wants. She's like that kind of rescuer, and I love that about her, because she's got a huge heart, and she takes in these dogs that just no one's gonna love, and she'll love them till the end of their life, and then they don't live long, and she gets her heart broken. But that's her thing. I love sweet people who care, and that's just so beautiful. Have you noticed that nobody looks cool making a right-hand turn? And so now I've made it cool. I have attitude. I have a right-hand turn attitude. And you're like, what are you talking about, Kelly Slusher? What does this mean? Well, if you ever notice, like, I'm sitting at this one intersection, and people have to, like, kind of really turn their heads to look right to make sure no one's coming so they can go. But they have to stick their neck out so far. They look so silly. They look like turtles. And they don't even think that people could be seeing them look like a turtle. But I see you. So what I do now is I, like, get my cool on when I'm like, okay, I'm turning right. And I just, like, get my little attitude. And I'm like, I'm turning right. And I, like, kind of take my shoulder and, like, get my little sexy look. I'm like, I'm turning right. I'm not a turtle. I've observed the turtle look. Notice it. It's really funny. Like, no, like, you can, this is the thing. You can combat that. Okay, y'all, we haven't listened to a sketch, so I'm going to play an oldie but goodie. Let's check this one out. I love this one. It's called Urine Pal.
What is that smell? Are you tired of your husband missing the toilet to the side on the left just a little? Just look at those streaks just running down the toilet bowl, collecting dust and fur. And time again, we've heard the same thing from wives and live-in girlfriends. You're in for a treat with new Urine Pal. No longer do you have to be the enemy of urine. You can be its best friend. Yay! Thank you, Urine Pal. We're pals now.
So I made that. That is an older sketch that I did as a fake commercial. And I played it, some episodes back, way in the beginning. And so That one is silly. I love those kind of like, oh, Urine Pal, and like, did your husband miss the toilet on the side to the left just a little? Because it's funny. It's like ads that I always make fun of them because it's funny. I have more. I'm going to be doing more sketches. It's just been a busy time, but not. So got a little lazy, I would say. But I'll be doing some more of those. I love Mitch Hedberg. He is one of the funniest comedians, and I don't know if everyone knows about Mitch Hedberg. I used to know a lot of people that would talk about how funny he is. I do bring up some of the comedians that inspire me that I love. I need to revisit some Mitch Hedberg. I think the one thing about him, he says he cusses a lot, and so you can't play it for everyone because it's like, oh, did you just... But sometimes it feels good to cuss, right? Sometimes I cuss. Sometimes I let out a couple S's and a couple F's. Sometimes when I get mad, but that's only when I'm really mad. Okay, but I woke up the other morning with a Mitch Hedberg joke in my head, and it was... it was like... What was the joke? It was about, I had an ant farm once. Those guys, I think he said like, I had an ant farm once. Those fellas didn't grow, sheet. They didn't grow sheets. I won't say the real word, but they didn't grow anything. So funny. Check out Mitch Hedberg if you don't know about him. You should know about him, but he died in 2005. So not everyone's hip on this fella, but he is probably one of my favorite comedians. And if you know who he is, you understand. He's legit. And anyway, so I saw this little ad on Craigslist because I sometimes like to peruse the musician ads because it's good to kind of see who, maybe there's some good players out there because I'm always thinking about bands and stuff. And the area I live in, like, there's musicians, but they're all in, like, 50 bands. I like to say that, 50. No, they're all, like, they have so many projects. It's like, you can't, can I borrow you for, I got a show coming up. Can we practice? Oh, you got your other 3 bands, So it's kind of good to see who else is, available anyway. Sometimes I've found people, but it's few and far between. But when you do, they're like gems, it's like finding that gem. So, but I found this guy posting in there, and it's the wrong place to post it because he needed to post it in probably the artist section. And it was this guy, and it's like he's wearing his jacket, and he's got the title of his album and his name. And so he's like saying things like this. And so it says he's looking for someone to shoot a video for him in a cafe, and he wants this like fancy camera. Like his request of the camera was actually a nice, expensive camera, and he's willing to pay. And he's like, "I'll pay you like $20." So that's the part that I was just like, I LOL'd, laughing my buns off, my bunzers off, because it was so silly. Like, don't even offer payment at that point. So my head, I'm thinking this. I'm like, what this would look like. Okay, so person decides to do this, and they're like, I'm going to make $20. But they're maybe not. They wouldn't even be thinking about that because you wouldn't even. This would not be a motivation because you'd have to like leave your house, pay for gas to get to the place. You'd have to have your camera. You'd have to go to the cafe. You'd have to be awkward in the cafe. You'd have to make sure the lighting's right. If you don't have lighting, like what does the guy want? How long is the footage? You take the footage, you'd record him. Then at that point, you have the images, but does he hold on to his $20 before you edit it? What happens then? Is there a whole editing process? But what I was thinking was like all this work, because it's not easy to film people, by the way. I mean, it can be, but you want to get a good shot. The lighting has to be right. It could take you an hour at least to just get like everything involved with this would take a couple hours. So, thinking about this, and then you do this thing, and you've worked, and then at the end of the session, he takes his wallet and like pulls out $20, like, thank you, sir. It's just like, oh man, that's bad. Don't even offer the payment. Just ask for it and say, hey, I don't really have a budget for this, but I'm willing to do a trade. If you're looking to if you're a videographer and you would like to do footage, or like if you want to make videos and you want someone that needs a video. I mean, there's so many options as far as that goes. Or get a friend to do it, but don't, the $20 thing, don't. Anyway, I have to get that out. I just thought it was funny. I don't mean to make fun of him because I know he's probably young, and I know musicians, you know, if you're at that point relying on money for out of your music, like I don't want to be pessimistic about being an artist, a musician, but the reality is we don't live in a society where you go out and be like, I'm going to apply to go be a musician and it pays $50,000 a year. Like, you're self-employed. Or if you want to take the route of being a more successful artist, it's going to take some work getting out there and getting in front of an audience, which can be done. It can't be done. Absolutely can be done. And then there's, it depends on what level you want. And if you're good, you have to be good, you know, and you have to have something that people want to hear. But it's a lot of work, and you have to be willing to do that. So yeah, that's probably why he wants his video. And like, he's trying to, you know, get exposure. But I know that's why I'm not trying to be mean about it. But it's like, dude, the $20, don't say that.
All right, all you wonderful, fine listeners, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening. I had a really fun time making this episode. And yeah, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it with a song that I wrote and released a couple years ago called Someday. It's available on iTunes for streaming and Apple Music for streaming. And it's, you know, you can buy it and purchase it on iTunes, Bandcamp, and all the places. I kind of, when I release my music, it's very available. I also made a very adorable stop motion animation where I drew and cut out little images and I animated them. I threw I'm actually in there too. So it's this combination of me playing and singing with my animations. It's probably one of my favorite music videos I've ever made. And it took me a couple months to even do it, which was actually pretty good for something of that, you know, of that length, because 3-minute animation could take a long time. So check it out, y'all, and follow me on Instagram and like and subscribe and do all the things that you do when you like a podcast, and keep me in the loop of the podcaster looper, the loop-a-doop. All right, talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.